Hey guys, this is Jake and Alex, and on today's episode, we are going to talk about how me and Alex have late season success. Obviously, it's different for the both of us because he lives in the mountain regions where there's not too many croplands, and I live flatlands where I rely on crops. But I'm gonna let Alex start off by telling you how what he seems to do best for him and how he can have success in the late season. And by late season, we're talking about December and first of January.
Yeah, like late December.
Yeah.
Because it's totally different up here. First December's our rut. I always feel like, but
Yeah, we get our rut like the last week of October, first week of November.
crazy how different it is. But
Wildly.
mostly it up here on a late season hunting, if you find a red oak or pin oak that's hitting, you can hunt it. And you're gonna see about every deer in a probably 2 square mile radius. They're gonna come to
Yeah.
that red oak or pin. It just ain't nothing to eat. I
Yeah.
mean, you occasionally find the green field that's got a little bit of clover or something in it. I mean,
Yeah.
they'll hit it. But
But, but it's kind of crazy to me how like nobody down your way does food plots.
I mean, I've planted a few. The only thing that, and really it didn't work too well, was brassicas.
Yeah.
I think the deer's just not adapted to
Yeah.
like having food. So like I'll run cameras until usually February, March on deer. I mean, they hit it in late January, the
Yeah.
coldest time. It's, you know, our weather messes with it too because we've had Christmases it's 75 degrees. So, I mean, what do
Yeah.
you do then? But if you find a red oak or a pin oak, you can really lay them down. But if you ain't got it, they're like an every other year kind of oak.
Yeah.
I really just dive into the bedding areas and I get
Yeah.
aggressive because they're always going to hit those. They're going to, I mean, they got to have somewhere for safety.
Oh
And
yeah,
I
deer
don't,
always go to bed.
yeah, I usually don't get aggressive earlier in the season on it because I save it towards the latter part. So, but when it's late December or that last week of deer season, I'll go set up right in the middle of
Oh yeah,
them.
but go
you
right in
know,
their home turf.
I just go early.
Yeah.
I'll be sitting there an hour and a half in the dark, but I'm waiting on them.
Oh yeah.
But I mean, I'm sure. I mean, we're a little bit different, but you could use those same tactics up there. But you got a whole lot more like crop. I feel like.
Yeah, I mean, I can use the same tactics as you can. Anybody who has any kind of acorn crops or anything like that can use that
Yeah,
tactics and hitting the bed in areas in the late season. Everybody can do that. But for me, man, I mean, we do a little more studying on food plots than y'all do for some reason down that way. Like we actually check the pH levels, try to get the
yeah,
pH levels right because a lot of people don't realize just throwing clover and stuff in the ground, yeah, it's gonna grow, but no
yeah,
matter what people tell you, that pH level, once it hits that high marks,
yeah,
them deer, it's sweeter to them, so they're
mm-hmm.
going to enjoy them. So for me, I mean, we plant at least, I mean, I know of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 food plots that we plant, and I mean, they get messed with in early season stuff, but if your acorn crops are good, nothing beats the acorns, bro. I mean, there is nothing. I mean, even these states that can bait, you can go throw corn piles out. Acorns are still deer's #1 food source.
Yeah,
But once it's gone for us, I mean, you get them cold days if you get lucky in January and December. But like you said, Virginia, I mean, it was daggone 65 degrees 2 days ago here.
yeah,
Um, if you can get them good cold days in late December, after the rut's through, dog season for us, it starts slowing down. And them deer are just, the big bucks are just so thin, man. They gotta
mm-hmm.
feed. And so, I mean, it's nothing for us to see 4, 5, 6 bucks in a food plot. And I mean,
yeah,
that's how we usually have our late season successes, hunting over top of food plots or hunting between a food plot and a bedding area. I mean, that's
yeah.
the best place to catch some big bucks strolling through.
How big are these plots you're running on
I
these?
mean, it depends, bro. Like, so that one where I killed my 8 pointer this year is probably 30 yards by, no, it's bigger than that. Probably 60 yards by 80 yards. And so it's not a big food plot,
Yeah.
But I mean,
So it's like a
really,
micro plot.
yeah, micro plot.
See,
Most of
that's mostly
ours
what we do up here. Is
Ours are
micro.
mostly micro plots. The only ones that are, I would say, were a little bit bigger of ours is the gas line and power line food plots.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time they're 40, 50 yards wide, and then they may be half a mile long.
Yeah.
So they're big food plots. But I mean, we have never really had any success in them in early season or mid season when the acorn crop is good. I mean, it's like you can sit out there and just waste your time.
Oh yeah, it's no sense of going out there really.
No, I mean, the only that one big buck that probably 3 years ago that I hit in no man's land, I shot at him 2 weeks into bow season, but there was no
Yeah.
acorns that year. They
Yeah.
still got to eat, man.
Oh yeah. I mean, they got to eat something.
Oh
If
yeah,
if it's Greenbrier or something, they're going to chew on something that day.
oh yeah. I mean, they're and if not, they'll starve out. So, for me, I think late season success relies on food more
Yeah.
than anything. I mean,
And if
food.
your acorn crop ain't good, they're going to burn them food plots up before late season.
Yeah, I mean, we've
So what's
literally
your
had
tactic
them,
then?
dude. Tell you the truth, if our food plots are gone, the great thing about up here though is so once the soybeans get cut and the corn gets cut, then they'll switch over to food plots if there's no
Okay.
acorns. But say they burn out our food plots, and we've had it happen before. They'll go start hitting the soybean fields again because they're planting rye cover crop. So you
Oh.
have the farmer's cover crop to hunt over. And I mean, I've seen a lot of big deer. That giant 8 pointer I had on trail camera a few years ago.
Yeah.
He was in a cover crop field,
Yeah.
and but that was all he really had to eat around there. There was no acorn crop that year. Our food plots, I mean, it was ridiculous. They looked like it was just bare dirt. I've never seen them like that before.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, it's crazy though. Like in all the years when I was hunting down there, I didn't plant a single food plot in all
Yeah.
of my years of hunting down where you're at. I didn't
I
plant
just
one food plot.
recently got into it. And now this year will be the first year I'll actually check my pH and stuff.
Yeah, I
That
tell
could have
you,
been my whole problem in this food plotting thing.
I mean, for us, we just take 3 samples of each field
Yeah.
and send it off to a biologist, and he'll literally tell you, like, hey, you need to put this much, um, whether it be, what am I trying to say, lime on it,
Yeah.
fertilizer. He'll tell you how much you need to put square foot, and then
Hmm.
you can go get it. And I mean, it's incredible. It makes because we plant a lot of beets, rye, clover,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. And then beets get super sweet for the deer,
Yeah.
and they just, I mean, they go crazy over it. But
Yeah.
I mean, I tell you what, dude, we got a guy up here who plants like a micro plot because deer love soybeans. He
Hmm.
plants soybeans, but what he'll do is he'll put a fence around it now and
Like
do not,
electric.
yeah, no, like electric high fence
Yeah.
and like not let the deer in there. And the deer want to be in there. But once
Hmm.
bow season opens up, or say if bow season we still got soybeans, he will wait until everybody else's beans get cut. He'll
And he'll
go out
drop that
there,
fence.
drop that fence, and it is like a heaven for the deer because they're
Yeah.
going in there munching away. And I mean, you gotta have good big money for that, dude. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. I think I've seen that like on these bigger shows like Drury
oh
and
yeah,
them out in Iowa. I'm pretty sure they do that.
yeah. I
I
mean,
mean, it's a smart tactic. You got the money, you got the time, do it. You'll
oh
kill it
yeah,
during the late
you
season.
will, dude. And I mean, if you can fence it in like that, dude, and then only open up certain areas, then it's
Hmm.
like you're like saying, I want the deer to come in right here.
Yeah.
And they're going to come in right there, and it's pretty sweet.
Oh yeah. I've
But
always heard of people planting corn and as the season rolls on, going through a couple of rows at a time and bush hogging it down.
yeah,
You
that
know.
is really good to do as well. We got some of our leases, man, that the farmer will like say, hey, let us give you $1,000 and you leave this section of corn.
Yeah.
And ever so often we'll either go through and cut it, or he will actually combine like rows in it to where we have shooting lanes. And
Yeah.
then at the end of the season, he still comes back and he still harvests his crops.
Yeah.
So he is not losing money. He is actually gaining money from us
It's a win-win for everybody.
for everybody. Because I mean, dude, that's where Dad, when he was up here, man, he killed that 8 pointer in standing corn.
Did he?
Yeah, you could literally hear the deer chewing the corn, but we were both like looking, and we just could not see the deer until dusky dark. And then the deer finally stepped out of the corn,
Mm.
and Dad shot him with the muzzleloader.
Okay, quick question on the corn. See, we
Uh,
don't have. I mean, you got standing corn around here, but it's like it's inaccessible to hunt like most of the
yeah,
time. Do they bed in the standing corn up there? A lot.
uh, quite a bit. Yeah, I mean, you find a lot of sheds in standing corn if it's left out, man.
I've
I
always
mean,
wondered.
it's safe for them. It's just they feel safe. I mean,
Do you think the big bucks will? And does it matter on like the row width? Because I've heard that too. Like they plant those 16-inch wide rows or those 24-inch wide rows. It depends on if big bucks will use it to bed.
see, I'm not an expert when it comes to that, but I still feel like a buck, as long as like all the things match up, like he's still gonna check that wind. He's still gonna bed where the wind is to his
Yeah.
back and or winds to his face, and
Yeah.
he can see everything in front of him.
Yeah.
But I think, yeah, I mean, I would say big bucks still bed in the corn. I've jumped bucks
Yeah.
thinking like, man, there ain't no way this deer is gonna be bedded out here. So I'll walk through the corn, and I'll be danged if you don't see the wall hanger
Mhm.
bouncing through the corn. And I'm like, all right, I'm turning around, I'm going home.
I mean, I can say it as an aspect of like I might not having corn, but as in trails through thicker stuff, I can tell you a buck trail to a doe trail
Yeah.
because they just don't like to they like to travel where they ain't got to turn their head all the time.
Oh yeah.
You know? I just didn't know if it's the same way with corn.
I mean, yeah, they'll still bed in there, dude. I mean, the biggest buck
Yeah.
I ever seen was bedded down in soybeans.
But
Yeah, I mean, me and my father-in-law, we seen it, and I mean, it makes stuff that I got on my wall look small. I mean, he
mm,
probably had 16-inch G2s, G3s. I mean, it was just incredible, dude.
yeah.
My father-in-law's colorblind, and he looked out in the field and he said, "Holy cow." He
Yeah.
said, "Look at that buck." And all you could see was horns that looked like they was 22, 23 inches wide, just
Man.
turning, looking around in the beans. And I was like, "Holy cow." And I mean, dude, they're gonna bed closest to their food, especially,
Oh, especially late season. They're trying to conserve energy. They don't want
yeah,
to travel a mile and a half to go to food.
no. But then you start talking about your late season and the weather, dude. I mean, when it's 60 degrees in late season, all your
Mhm.
tactics kind of go out the window because
Yeah.
they're not getting up as frequently to feed because they're not burning as much fat sitting there. I mean,
Yeah.
during the winter when you got a good cold winter and it's 20, 30 degrees, they're trying to burn fat to stay warm. So they got to continuously, they're getting up to feed in daylight. They're
Mhm.
making them mistakes that when it's hot outside, they don't make them mistakes, man, because they're burning no energy. I mean, they're just literally in relax mode. That's
Yeah, when
it.
it's hot, they go back towards like summer mode. You know what I
Uh,
mean?
and I mean, that's the hard thing, dude. I know for us when we was in Ohio, man, I mean, it was kind of like you wanted to hunt the acorns. And then once we got into an area that had acorns, that's where I missed that big buck at.
Yeah.
And he was just, well, there was two of them and they was kind of hauling tail. I don't know what they was running from, but they was
Could
in
have
the
caught my
area.
wind up on the other side, or I could have pushed them down off that other side, working up through there, trying to get them
Yeah.
set up.
I
You
mean,
know what I mean?
it's possible, but I mean, up there, dude, it's a different beast. I feel like hunting my tactics where I live does not work up there.
It works more with my tactics.
Yes, hunting the bednaries, hunting the oak trees, hunting the greenbriers.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, knowing how that deer travels is key to having
Hmm.
that success. I mean, if you can get between where he wants to eat and where he's bedding at,
Yeah.
that's where you're gonna have your best luck for me.
Yeah.
And I
I'm.
mean, I go ahead.
I mean, I always think that in the late season, like where you shot at that deer in Ohio, it was thick. I mean,
Yeah,
thicker
thick
the
as
better in the late
thieves.
season. They're
Yeah,
going to work that thick.
yeah.
You
I
know.
mean, they just do. I mean, if you got shot at all year and seen people all year, you would be trying to feed and hide in the thickest stuff.
Hmm.
And that's the way the deer are, dude. I mean, up here, because y'all don't have swamps like we have.
No.
Up here, man, them big bucks will swim out in the water and bed on these little islands out in the middle of the swamp.
Oh, really?
Just, yeah, dude, just sit out in the middle of the island. And them jokers just stay there. They're
Get your duck
completely,
waders on.
dude, you got to. And I mean, For us, it's the dog action that makes them get that tight. Like they get super, like for us, the deer get so tight in these small regions that if you don't have dogs or you're not walking around, you ain't going to get to these deer because they are completely 100% nocturnal. I
Yeah.
mean, dog hunting though, I mean, you send a pack of dogs in, they're going to jump everything.
Yeah.
And they get on that track. May he walk through there at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the morning. Well, they hit that track and they're cold nosing it. They bump him up on that swamp, and then you got all hell breaking loose.
Yeah.
20
They're
pack
running.
of 20 packs of walkers chasing that deer out. And I
Yeah.
mean, which is a great thing for us. But on the other aspect of it, I don't think I've ever met anybody who's been able to like look at a deer run and be like, yep, that's a 3-year-old. I'm gonna let him walk.
Oh, it's not really it's brown, it's down at that time, but it's you know,
Yeah, I
it
mean, most of the clubs up here though have the bucket rule, which a
yeah,
bucket rule buck is like 15, 16 inches wide,
yeah,
which to me is still not an impressive buck.
yeah.
Not saying I've not shot him,
Oh, I
but
mean, but even at a running deer, I mean, what 15, 16 inches wide is, but it is kind of harder to tell at a running deer.
bro,
I've
because
been fooled many times on deer. You walk up and you're like,
dude,
I shot the wrong one.
I thought that deer was the big 8 pointer that I had on trail camera.
Yeah,
I literally called my father-in-law and said, I just got him.
yeah,
And I walked up to him and I was like, yep,
yeah.
that's gonna be a hard one to explain. I didn't get him.
Yeah, we got all those deer on. I mean, I've got deer on trail camera. I will come out and say as soon as I look at the picture, I'm like, he better not look at me the wrong way and come in quick because he'll probably get shot. You
Oh
know,
yeah, bro. I
they
mean,
just if they look at you the right way, you're like, that's a stud.
all
You
they gotta
know,
do is tip that head up, man.
yeah,
And I wish that you could, because for me, honestly, you could get more people who would kill more does.
mm,
And if you're getting to late season, kill more does. Yeah, they say you're killing bred does, but dude, there's so many daggone does.
yeah,
So be it you kill 3, 4 does that are bred. There's 30 more in the next pasture over
yeah.
that you just need to control the population.
Or just
And it was funny. I was reading this thing or watching this video the other day, and a guy was talking about watching a buck. I don't remember who it was, but he was talking about watching a button buck and a mama doe come in,
hmm
and he shot the mama doe.
yeah,
And the reason behind it is he said now that buck will make that place his home turf.
hmm
Because that mama doe, whenever he gets old enough to start
he
breeding,
knows he can't breathe.
she's going to kick him out.
Yeah,
It ain't that he can't breed. She don't want
yeah.
incest in there. I mean, it's crazy that animals really think that way, but she's going to get him out.
I mean, we're all covered up in those. I mean, me and my buddy rode around. See, it was 5 nights ago,
Yeah.
2 hours, and seen 105 deer. And guess how many of those was bucks?
Well,
It was
probably
one.
one, but you got to also put in perspective shed bucks.
They ain't shedding. I mean, they're shed. You got to like. I mean, if you find a shed, most of the time it's a smaller buck around here this time, but they're not shedding tremendously here.
Yeah.
You know, it really has to. That 1st of February, like Valentine's Day,
Yeah.
that's when you really start to hammer them. You'll find a here and there shed right now
Yeah.
here, but we're covered up in those down here.
Yeah. All right. Now let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Late season, you let a buck walk in early season.
hmm
Ain't killed nothing all year.
Yeah.
Are you going to decent buck, 17-inch wide 8 pointer? Are
Yeah.
you going to shoot him at the end of the year?
Yeah. I'm feeling my tag.
Well, I see.
It's just the way I am.
I,
I am just as tickled with a 17-inch 8 pointer 115 that if I shot a 140, I don't care. You know,
yeah,
but that's
yeah,
just the
yeah.
way the hunting is down here.
I agree with that. So
Yeah.
I do agree with the whole aspect of if it pleases you, shoot it. But did it not please you in the early season?
Well, you got to take in perspective. Like I said, if it's late season, sometimes you lose your target buck. He don't show up. Well, you've right. What are you chasing at that point? Why are you even going? You know, you going to kill something.
Yeah,
I'll
but
shoot that 17-inch wide.
But even then, it's kind of the aspect of how do you know your target buck ain't walking right behind him, getting ready to step out?
I'll give him time to get out. I'll look at him for a minute. Unless it's a he looked at me the wrong way and come in running type situation, but I
Yeah,
give him
yeah,
time
yeah.
to look at him.
Yeah. I guess for
Yeah.
me, it's kind of if I ain't gonna shoot you the first day, I probably ain't gonna shoot you the last.
I'm complete opposite. There's deer that I know I have on camera in summer that I will shoot late December, but won't shoot October, November.
Yeah.
I will put that marker on them in September. He better just hide out late December because he will get popped.
Oh yeah. I mean, I can understand that too.
Yeah.
Um, but for me, dude, if I get the feeling where I just want to kill a deer, I'm gonna shoot doe.
Oh, I'll shoot a doe. Hey, my campaigns make shooting does great again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
Everybody looks at you the wrong way when you shoot a doe, but I love it. You
Oh yeah,
know?
dude. I mean, they eat just as good as the bucks do. I mean,
Yeah.
I
I
don't.
get just as tickled shooting
Oh,
doe as a
bro.
buck. It doesn't matter to me.
See, that's me, dude. I get more tickled of shooting a doe than
Hmm.
I will a 17-inch wide buck.
I mean, I'm as equally tickled.
See, I kind of like
If
that.
it's late season and I haven't, now we didn't put in perspective in that question. Had I killed a buck? Now, if I've killed a decent buck, if it's say in Kentucky or in Ohio or something, now
No,
I might not shoot the deer if
no,
it's even not my home state.
yeah, I said if you hadn't killed a buck.
I thought you kind of meant just Virginia. Like if I've killed one somewhere else too.
Nope. I'm talking about you ain't killed a buck, period.
Okay, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah.
He's gone.
See, I would have a better,
We've got a lot of 3.5, 4.5 year old deer that won't ever make 17-inch wide here. They're just, I mean, we get a lot
yeah,
of
because
crap
people
bucks.
people shoot them at 16-inch wide.
Yeah, but there's a lot of like I've got one on camera right now. He's probably uh 13, 14-inch wide. And
Yeah,
I would age him at probably we've had him on camera. He's probably 4.5 now.
yeah.
He just never and he don't grow long points, but he's probably one of the hardest deer I've ever seen to kill. I will grant you that. I ain't got the opportunity yet. You know.
Yeah, I've had some ugly deer like that, dude, that I've like wanted to kill because they just got goofy genes. And
Yeah.
not that I think killing some scraggly buck on private land that you
Yeah.
have less than 5,000 acres, killing a goofy genetical buck is not going to benefit your farm. It ain't
No.
gonna happen. If you're running 200 acres and you shoot this scraggly buck, your farm is going to still produce the same amount of deer as it did
Oh
last
God,
year.
yeah.
I mean, because you just can't do that.
At that after a couple years of watching a buck, it becomes a challenge for me. I have a deer on one of these farms I hunt that is a three-legged deer that I would probably age at 6.5, 7.5. I passed him a lot when he was a 2-year-old deer,
Yeah.
but now he would be a trophy to me to
Oh
kill.
yeah, dude.
He ain't. I bet he ain't 55 inches of horns. He ain't made nothing in his life. But
Yeah.
that deer, I'm like, how are you surviving with three legs out here? And I still can't kill you, you know?
Yeah. I mean, but some deer are like that, dude. They're just elusive. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. They
And
just
that
don't
gets
want
in
to
the
be killed.
aspect of, what's a trophy? That's a trophy to
Oh,
me. I mean, that deer's outsmarted me. I don't know how many
oh,
times.
dude. That was like me letting that big 6 pointer that I posted a video on TikTok. That was the one deer that I've ever let walk that
Yeah.
I regretted when he walked away.
Yeah.
I mean, he was 19, 20-inch wide, 6 pointer,
Did you get the
literally
feeling when he walked up?
when he
Everybody
walked
knows.
up.
Everybody knows the feeling. Everybody knows the feeling
Um,
when a deer walks up. In your heart, if you're probably going to shoot that deer.
yeah, I really thought I was going to
And
shoot
you
him.
fought that feeling.
I fought the feeling. I literally was sitting there. This deer's at 25 yards, like getting ready
Yeah.
to drop back. And I had 3 or 4 other big bucks on the farm that year. And I was like, and the farm I was hunting, you could only kill one buck a year.
Mm,
So I'm sitting there and I'm like, ah, ah. I mean, I literally like quarter drawed on him like
yeah.
3 times. And then finally I hung my bow up. I was like, I don't want no temptation. And I'm sitting there watching the buck and he walked away out of sight. And I was like, I'll never get to shoot a 6 pointer that big again.
Do you ever see that deer the next year on camera? Or,
Oh, I had him on camera next year. Yeah.
Okay.
He was still a great big old six
Did you kill a
pointer.
buck that year off the property?
Yeah, that 8 pointer right there.
Oh, it's worth it to you.
It was.
Yeah.
I killed a bigger mature buck. So that 6 pointer, I aged him at 3.5 years old.
Yeah.
Because I had him the year before at 2.5 at probably 16, 17 inch wide 6 pointer. The next year I had him at a 20 inch wide 6 pointer. The following year he was probably a 21, 22 inch wide 6 pointer. I
Yeah.
did not see him the following year because I got out of that kind of like little hunting club thing.
Mm.
And that buck would have been, so he'd have been 5, 6 years old. Somebody else seen the buck. And this guy is all about killing that mature buck. And he's seen the buck and he said it was the hardest deer he's ever let walk. But he had some just hammers that he was trying to kill.
Yeah.
And he kind of regretted letting that deer walk as well. He said the deer did not stay in the field long enough. He said the deer was in the field for 30 seconds. He said if he'd have been there for 35, he said I might have killed him.
I'd have killed him.
Yeah, I regret not
I get
shooting
that devil and angel on my shoulder, and the devil always wins. I'll
for
just tell
sure,
you.
dude.
I was
Yeah.
raised by my papa for the hunting aspect, and he's
Oh.
killed some Bambis.
Bro, but look at the stuff my dad's killed, man. I mean, yeah,
Oh yeah.
he's got that one nice 9 pointer. But other than that, I
Do you
mean,
remember the days when we used to look at that 8 pointer he had mounted, and it's like, if we could get a deer like that, that was a giant. We was like, if we could
bro,
kill one deer like that, that
it's
perfect eight.
that perfect 15.5 inch wide 8 pointer.
Yeah, with about 6-inch tines.
Yeah. And we thought it was a giant, dude.
Yeah.
And then I killed that 9 pointer and I was like, pass you up, Dad. See you later.
Yeah.
And then he said, all right, I'll show you. And he killed an elk. I was like, that's nice.
That's
I was,
impressive in its own.
I was like, you got me. I was like, I
Yeah.
probably will never kill an elk in Virginia. So,
No.
and, but I know we kind of went way off topic there. We were just rambling on about it. But do you have any other late season tactics you would give these guys? For me, dude, it's food, bed, travel. That is what I would say. Go with.
Mine would be find those red oak trees if you can. Be aggressive with the bedding and don't be afraid to cover ground.
Yep.
If you cover that whole farm, you'll know if they're there.
Oh
And
yeah, bro.
just if you got different farms, don't stay stuck to one either. It's late season. You can't do it.
I get a tendency, man, that I got like 12 farms up here I can deer hunt.
Yeah.
I seem to like always focus on 1 or 2 farms. I'll see that one buck and I'm like, that's him. I want to hunt him. And
But I
little,
found you can waste your years on that.
you can, because little did I know I had bullwinkle over at this farm, daylighting 22 days in a row at 9 o'clock, and I could have killed him 16 times. And it's like, yeah, that's good. I'd be like, good thing it wasn't a cell camera. That would have been a dead deer. It was some old Tacticam that looks
that's
like
a whole nother topic in itself. Cell cams
oh
right there,
yeah,
buddy.
bro. They made that illegal in Kentucky on public land.
Yeah, and Kansas
Yep.
banned it, I think. Yeah, it's just on public.
Yep.
One of the states banned it completely.
Oh yeah, Boone and Crockett will. I don't understand how they know this is true, but Boone and Crockett will not recognize your book and the Boone and Crockett book if you had cell camera pictures of that deer.
How do you know if it's a cell cam picture?
Bro,
That's a Tasco.
bro.
I check it 3 times a year. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean,
I checked it after I shot him.
I mean, just because you get a picture of a buck does not mean you're going to kill that buck.
I didn't know that about Boone and Crockett.
Yeah, I heard about that not long ago.
Mm.
Well, one of my buddies told me he could have been bull crapping me, but
I think there's some research to be done on that one.
I do too. But either way, but if you ain't got nothing else, we're gonna cut this out and just say thank y'all for the people who subscribed to our page so far, and hopefully that we keep on getting better with this, and y'all just stay around to watch us learn. And appreciate y'all's patience with us. And if that's it for you, Alex, I'm done as well.
Yeah, thank y'all. Give us a follow on Facebook or Instagram. Appreciate it.
All right, later, guys.